Hi everyone, Amy Kennedy here, ceramic artist from Melbourne, Australia. This video is not so much a video tip, but it is a longer discussion on the topic of education. I have been having a few conversations with artists over the past couple of months, and they'll come to me and say, Amy, I feel like there might be something missing and I'm really considering some more education, whether that be formal education, qualifications, or informal. And they ask me, what's your advice? What do you think? And I always think about those sorts of questions, and I really am aware that I have a certain perspective on this because of my life experience, and make sure that that's clear. I let them know, my educational experience and the benefits that I've got from that, the negatives that I see in that. And so I have some things here that I think would be good for you to consider if you are in this spot. If you're thinking, yeah, there is something possibly missing and I'm considering some form of education or study, I've got some things that would be worth considering. Before I do that, I just wanted to share my educational journey, just so you know where I'm coming from. I started ceramics a million years ago at my local community centre. I signed up, don't know why, something was pushing me, I still don't know why, and I did classes there for 2 years and I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. I didn't even know what this whole ceramic thing was before that. And my teacher saw that I loved it and she encouraged me to go on to TAFE, further education. I did 2 years there with some really beautiful people, and I loved it, and I wanted to do more. My teachers there encouraged me to go to uni. I went to uni for a couple of years and I loved it there. I couldn't get enough. And each jump to the next was, for me, is that I just wanted to be learning more. I wanted to have teachers. I wanted to be in that environment around people that were loving this thing that I loved, and they were making really cool, interesting things. That was my motivation. During those studies, I was never really thinking, oh, I'm going to get a diploma, I'm going to get a qualification, I'm going to get a Bachelor of Fine Art, and I'm going to have that document. I was never ever thinking that, but I do have those now, and they have really helped me, I think. Having those on my resume, having them when they're needed for certain applications, they are useful. So on to what I think are useful things to consider if you are thinking about possible further study is, number one is to get clear on what you want. What do you want to get from potential further study, education that you don't have now? What is missing? What do you want? Is to get really clear on that. Writing can help, of course. This is the most important thing, because you might find out, what was I thinking? I don't need to go back to school. I can, fill that thing that I'm missing with this and this and this. So really to get clear, number one. The second thing is to cast your net far and wide about all the opportunities that are available to you. The local place down the street, maybe a community group, local independent schools in your city, in your town, diploma courses, certificates, bachelors of fine arts, master's programs, PhDs, one-on-one with awesome mentors. Cast your net wide and far and see what is available, because there might be things that you just have not thought of. And then study them and consider, when you're seeing that maybe some are jumping out and you're interested in them, is my third thing to do. And this is inspired by a teacher of mine at university. He said something to me that really stuck in my mind. After I had finished study at university, I was looking at further study. And I had a particular place in mind. And I asked my lecturer, I said, so what do you think of this school? And he said, it doesn't matter about the school, Amy. What are the teachers like? And it really stuck with me. So I think I'm up to 3. My third tip is to find out about the teachers. Do some very non-threatening online stalking of them to find out more about them. Can you see a little bit of their bio, their backstory? What sort of vibe are you getting off from them? Find out more about them. And my fourth thing ties into that, is to getting feedback from the students that are currently there or that have been there recently. A number of them, not just 1 or 2, but many if you can. So you can find out about the teachers through them, but you can also find out what the experience is actually like being there and learning and being a student. and ask some directed questions that are really important for you. For instance, you might really be going back to study to get more of a technical element to your education. You might feel that that's missing. Materials, processes, technical stuff. You want to know that that's going to be a big feature of that study that you're going back to. You'd ask those sorts of questions. But if you're really more tuned into the personality of your teacher and how they're going to support you, you might be asking questions like, is a teacher a good listener? How did you find them? So really get targeted questions to them. And then after that, the fifth thing, I think I'm up to number 5, the fifth thing would be to go and see the work in person. So this could be through open days, end of year exhibitions or presentations. Go and see the work and look at it and consider it. Is it interesting to you? Are there interesting things happening? You don't have to like everything. You could also think, is it all the same? Is it all homogenous? Or are there different? Is there variety, diversity being celebrated here? So go and see the work in person if you can. And then 6th after that, and there's probably many more, but 6th after that would be really to consider the logistics, the duration, your commitment, the costs, in accordance with your other life commitments, and to see if that's really going to work for you. Timing is a big thing here. When I was describing my education experiences earlier in the video, that was done in my early to mid 20s. I was a different person back then. I think I was a bit of a shy pie, and I just lapped it all up. I was like a flippy floppy sponge, just soaked it all up, and I was very agreeable. And I think it might have been like the perfect student. Oh, Amy, try this. Okay, I will. Oh, you should do this. Okay, I will. And I was just at this time in my life when I didn't know where I wanted to go with this thing, and I was very open to trying new things and jumping into new things, and I didn't have probably much resistance to that, people giving me advice. But I think now if I were to go back to study, I'm a different person. I hopefully think I'll be more questioning and more attuned to that. So yeah, basically what I'm saying there, you got to think what stage of your life are you at, and what do you really want, and what are the environments that you are best going to learn in and support you? How do you learn best? In what ways? So there are a few things to throw into the mix if you are considering this question of maybe going back to school or doing some further study or adding more structured learning into your practice. And the last thing I wanted to say here is that last year, I had a wonderful artist in my Evolve program, and she'd taken a break from her study. So she did the 6-month program with me, and then she was going to go back to finish her study. And we were having many little conversations during our time together about how she wanted to approach her studies. And we would talk about this, what did she really want to get from them? Who did she really want to ask questions of and get advice from and get information from? So she could pull that, she could sort of like, not suck them dry, but really pull what she needed from them to really support her art practice. And she was coming from this place where she had been doing her art for a while. She'd been doing different studies, she'd had different careers, and she could really tune into what was important for her, and she had a game plan. So this is the last thing I would say. If you are going into further study, whatever it is to have a game plan, to have what you want to get from it. Now, of course, you'll also be open at the same time to what may emerge, but to go in there with an intention. I think that's really important too. So thank you for listening to this video. It's a long one. I hope it's useful. I hope it might open a wider conversation about this. I definitely have not covered everything. If you have something else that you think, oh, this is an important point, Amy, please pop it in the comments below. I would really love to hear that. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you soon.